In the penultimate episode of this should-be miniseries, Michelle Calderone, played by June Smollett, visited Captain Stephen Burke, her married superior, who she had also been having an affair with previously, mind you, while his wife and kids were out of town. One thing led to another, and Captain Burke decided to try to revisit their previous arrangement, but was rebuffed by Calderone. But it was what happened next that I found to be near screenwriter malpractice. Their conversation quickly turned into an argument about the course of their relationship, and in an episode of Rage, Calderone punched Captain Burke in the throat, accidentally injuring him. But instead of helping him in his moment of need, she just stood there until he finally succumbed to his injuries and died right there on the floor in front of her. And then, to add insult to injury, after the benefit of a few moments to think, she had the nerve to bleach the area and set that man's house on fire after spending the entirety of the series claiming the moral high ground in her awkward professional relationship with arson investigator and arson suspect Dave Goodson, played by Taron Egerton. Calderone burned her police captain's house to the ground after placing a pair of Goodson's plastic gloves inside to frame him for the arson, a fire that not only burned down a house in a suburban neighborhood, but that nearly burned the entire forest down behind that neighborhood. And the thing that made me sick to my stomach was that she used the fire to arrest Goodson for the fires she and her investigative team believed him to have committed. And then, after that, she whipped his ass in the burning forest for trying to kill her by car crash, and I won't lie, that scene was kind of lit, no pun intended. And to be honest, I would have rather she killed Goodson in that scene instead of arresting him, if it meant that Captain Burke's life would have been spared. And then, after all that, she had the nerve to march Goodson into the police station past all of her colleagues who believed he had just killed one of their own, and she sat him in an interrogation room and pressed him until she finally got additional evidence from Esposito and Hudson, other members of her investigative team, that could be used to finally secure what we can all assume will be a conviction. The issue I had with this decision was that it was completely unnecessary, and the idea of Calderone committing arson while chasing an arsonist, an arson that included a homicide, was just a bridge too far, because it was the one thing that changed the anti-hero of the story into a full-on villain. And by doing that, they made her into someone you no longer wanted to see win. So when she's sitting in the interrogation room in the final major scene in what could prove to be the last episode we ever see in this should-be miniseries, you're left with an emptiness that comes from a feeling that only one of the bad guys is truly getting what they deserve.